See that? Rip it right through it. There's that door I brought home to try and replace it. Okay, people. So, this is one of my hoarding moments. I just grabbed this out of a bag that was in the laundry room that at some point was probably in the basement, and then it got tossed out into the laundry room. I'm sorry, into the garage, and it's been kicking around. You can see I have to wipe it down. I'm pretty sure it works. All right? Because obviously I was saving it. This used to be one of Andre's toys. So I'll clean it up, put batteries in it, and then see if it works. And Amari can have that, right? With a May here at the house. So basically, hold on a minute. Hold on. Okay, I think it's recording. Yeah. Okay, let me get my coffee. Okay, so basically it's 10 o'clock in the morning. What is it? August 31st or something like that? Last day of the month anyway. And you've seen the room is being cleared out. That's now Auntie ShaMay's room. AKA / storage / sewing. Okay, because I'm going to put a little desk. I'm taking the desk there.
Saturday now.
I know it's Saturday. I'm going to take the desks from the hall here, and I'm putting them in a corner, and I'm going to set up a little area where there can be a dressmaking form, and or maybe two would be nice, and the machines. That's what I'm going to do, people. The north wall I'm taking over, and I'm running bookshelves, and that's where a lot of these jars are going to go, right? Because that's the best place to store them, on shelving. I'm going to probably have to build the shelving in order to be able to utilize the space effectively, because technically I don't like to put my jars on top of each other. You can, I do it, I don't like to do it, I try to avoid it. So being that we're moving forward, you know, I mean, for now I'm going to do what I can. I have a bookshelf in the garage. Don't ask me where it came from. I think Sierra dragged it home one day. She must have found it on the street or something. People put their stuff out in the curb, and she dragged it home, and I've been eyeballing it for months, thinking, where can I put it? You know, it's not a bad bookshelf. It's not as wide as I would like it to be, but for temporary purposes, it would work just fine. I'm going to move the deep freeze that is now Andre's room down into that bedroom. And I may even put a fridge in there, but I don't know about that yet. But definitely the deep freeze is going down. And then I'm going to clear out the bookshelves in Andre's room, aka first it was Tisha's room, then it was Uncle John's room, then it became Uncle John's room in the playroom, and now it's becoming Andre's room. I've decided I'm just going to take down the bookshelves along this wall and along this wall. And then the bunk bed that I just bought, I'm going to put the frame up in there. And what it is it's a full mattress on the bottom and a single mattress on the top. And then this way, Amari, when he's on his bed, right, which will be in ShaMay's room initially, right, and then it was Andre's room, and it stayed empty for a long time, and then Andre came home from foster care, and then it was Andre's room, and then Amari moved in, right? The bed that's in there right now, I'm just going to leave it because it's wide open. It's a double bed, so it's big. You know, it's airy. It's the bright room because you get the sun in the afternoon, coming through, right? ShaMay loved that room. It's warm, right? So that Amari will just remain where he is, and I will just clear out some stuff in there for some of this equipment that the people that work with Amari in terms of physiotherapy and that type of thing, you know, they want him to have access to. So I'll work on clearing out some stuff in there so that equipment can be in the actual room itself. And then, of course, I'm going to stack and pack my bins that are in my sewing room. And then that's when we get into the fabric, people. Oh, boy. I'm so looking forward to that. Right? It's not a very big room, but it's something. A leaky boat is better than no boat. It gives me a chance to sort out my life. Seriously. Right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep this video short. Oh yeah, and then, so, hoarding moment. I'm pretty sure it works, otherwise I wouldn't have kept it for all these years. Right? I'm glad it's handy. One less thing out of the garage. Doesn't take much to wipe it down. Put some batteries in it. And you're good to go. And then I got this cooking people. So I got all the grapes separated, washed my seeds, rinsed them. Now I'm going to lay them on a cookie sheet and just let them air dry. Right? I could throw them in a dehydrator, but I packed my dehydrator away. So we're just going to have to air dry them, spread out really, really thin. And then as the grapes go, before you know it, you'll see I have a big bag like this. And then you can get into that fine detail art, right? You can make pictures with those.
Excuse me.
Through design, right?
Thank you.
You can design them to go a certain way as a group. So you form a picture with just grape seeds. In my mind, I think it would be nice.
Yeah.
Right? What?
Okay.
Okay.
Amari, I rolled out that white blanket
Uh-huh.
for you.
Uh-huh.
And then he can't fall off no more.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be getting him soon.
Huh?
Okay. You're a very good big cousin.
Yeah.
Andre does really well with Amari.
Yep.
Okay. You're breaking my thought. And then I've got the grapes ready to cook with the pulp. And then these grapes are still sitting here with a pot over the lid, right? So, with a lid over the pot, right? So now I'm going to, technically, I'm having, I wouldn't call it panic attacks, because it's not really panic attacks. I'm not in panic mode, people, because I have been through this so many times already where somebody has just fell off the grid and I'm left holding the bag. Right? That's where credit cards come in handy. Because when that shit happens, you have that buffer in terms of income to get the family through. That's why I went into $40,000 in debt. Right? So, you know, like I said in my previous videos, it's like I'm having to restart all over again, only this time I don't have access to the credit that I used to have because I'm in debt and being held hostage to that debt. I never even had a chance to pay off the debt, even though on the budget that Uncle John and I were on, that debt should have been paid off within 2 years. In other words, in 2017. Because Uncle John and I were just starting to tackle it in 2015. And at the rate that I was going to tackle it, it would have been gone basically within 2 years. CIBC Bank. ICBC in British Columbia, Canada is an insurance company for automobiles. CIBC Bank is a major banking institution in Canada. They just got hasty and, like I said, went for the big bucks and, you know, screwed over the little guys, right? But I have responsibilities, and I guess the good Lord has blessed me here, people, because if you notice, you don't see me panicking too much. Maybe it's because I'm just too tired and I don't have enough energy to panic right now. But I don't feel panicky in the sense of other than I might be excited to get that room. That's where my little flutters are coming from, like, ooh, Just imagine if you had that room, how you could start sorting out your life. You know, instead of being glued into it, right? I have a means now to start pulling back the glue, or, you know, the tape, or, and just, you know, release the tension. Bringing another person into the house is just going to recreate that tension, especially if it's a stranger, right? Can you hold on a minute, please?
No, I'm just getting a piece of bread.
Okay. So I'm kind of excited that I get this room, even though I'm like, where are you going to come up with all this money? But I've been in this situation before, and when Uncle John was medically kidnapped, people, I'm telling you, I went 5 months, like 5 months, longer than 5 months, but it was hardcore for 5 months, where I bought absolutely nothing except milk, eggs, and a few potatoes, and an onion once in a while at the corner store. That was it. For 5 months. Everything else that we ate came from inside of the house because of my food prepping over the years. And we can thank, actually, if you wanted to give anybody any credit for it, it would have been YouTube and their YouTube video makers in terms of food prepping and all that stuff. Because by watching YouTube videos where people were prepping and how they prepped and why they prepped, you know, I took it upon myself. I had 9 people in the house who wouldn't want to prep, right? I live in an earthquake zone. Who wouldn't want to prep, right? Especially when you're being told that, you know, you can stay. Don't worry, right? So I did, and it got me through. It got my family through. Well, it's the same kind of situation right now, right? My family was like this, and it's been brought down to like this now, people. The only people in this house that are living in this house right now is what's remaining of my family. Uncle John is gone, key player, right? ShaMay is gone, another key player. Sierra, well, we can consider her gone. She cannot move into that room, people. Even though I'd want to house her, I can't bring her into the house under the conditions of what they are right now. So she's gone. My oldest son, I have no relationship with. Every now and then, he just called me, you know, I'm sure he watches my videos, but until you figure it out and you don't want to quit with your drinking and shit, and like seriously quit, then to hell with it. Because one thing my grandmother, before she died, well, actually, on the day she died, people, on the day she died, and this is how I know, I was sleeping, okay, and she came to me in my sleep. This is when she died. The morning, night, whatever, she died. And she says, come with me. And I'm like, well, where are we going? She said, I'm going to show you something. So she takes me up someplace into this big room, or rooms. Anyway, it was her personal space, right? And she said, this is where I'm going to be now. Right? And I'm like, okay, like, who, like, she showed, what she did is she showed me that she wasn't going to live with all her kids. There was only some kids up in this room, her space, whatever it was. There was only some of them going to be around her, living with her, in terms of coexisting, right? And then she sent me away and said, I'll see you again. That's what she said. I woke up in the morning, I got a phone call, I was informed that my grandmother had died in the hospital that night. So, for all this that my kids bring to me as a parent, I'm like, okay, well, I know there's an afterlife because my grandmother has already shown me that. And I know that just because I birthed 5 kids doesn't mean that I am obligated to those kids in death, in terms of they're going to latch onto my tit and try and suck the life out of me like they did on this planet. Whether it's emotional, whatever it is, right? You know what I mean? Like, you're not required, just because you had a child doesn't mean you're required to look after that child for the rest of their lives, including them following you and taunting you in death. My grandmother was happy where she was. She had her space. She was comfortable with it. It was hers. She loved it. And she had the kids around her that she wanted to have around her, that were helpful and respectful to her. Because not everybody made it. Back to my grandmother. My Uncle Harry came to me in his sleep too. So Grandma's not the only one. I was sleeping. Next thing you know, I'm like, this person is on my chest, going like this. He's like, wake up, I gotta go, wake up, I gotta go. And I'm like, okay, you gotta go, you go. I woke up in the morning, I got a phone call. My Uncle Harry had died. He came to say goodbye to me, people. That's what he did. Right? So wherever he went, I don't know where he went, but he made sure to tell me that he was going. So when I woke up, I wasn't surprised. Just like I haven't cried for ShaMay, people. Right? Because I woke up crying in my dream. Right? Because whatever happened to ShaMay was going after Tisha. And that's when I woke up. But in terms of her being dead, I was already prepared before it happened that I wouldn't be talking to my daughter, right? For a lifetime, okay? And that could be one reason why I don't really cry. Because there's a part of me that is afraid. Okay, hold on. There's a part of me that is afraid that because it happened to ShaMay, and whatever what happened to ShaMay was going to Tisha, and she was next, and that's when I woke up crying. I'm afraid that, well, maybe I'm not afraid, but maybe subconsciously I'm thinking I'm not allowed to cry until something happens to Tisha, because the dream has already told me that it will, and because it will, that's when I'll cry. So it's like I can't cry, like really cry. I have cried even when my mother died. My mother was an alcoholic. And she got caught up in that pill problem, right? And over the years, it was pretty chaotic, right? And when she wanted attention and all that shit, oh, I'm going to commit suicide, blah, 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 right? And a few times she attempted to do it. So over the years, it accumulated to the point where I became desensitized to it. And I took on the role of being the mother. Well, my mother took on the role of being the child through her alcoholism and taking prescription drugs. So by the time she died, people, I didn't cry until over a week had passed. And it was just, at some point, I think it was like at a wake. It was at the wake, right? Not at the funeral, not before the funeral, nothing. Everybody gathered, whatever. And just being around my family, because my mother was the first one to die. My mother used to help my grandmother so much. But she was the first one to die. And because she was the black sheep of the family and everybody else was so much better than her. You know, and she struggled with her alcoholism, all that shit. But my mother was a good mother, even for all her flaws. I don't know, just being around my uncles and my aunts and my grandma. But not having my mother there. That's when I started to cry. Just like I'm crying now. I haven't had this cry for ShaMay yet, people. Because I'm afraid if I cry, I'll lose another daughter. This is serious shit. So it took my mother to cry for ShaMay, because maybe that was just a little bit for ShaMay. Or was I crying for my mother? Who was I crying for, people? Who am I crying for? So anyway, I'm feeling okay. Edgar's a good guy. He didn't deserve a lot of the bullshit that was going on around here in terms of the bathroom's never been completed since he's been here, people. And he's lived here since pretty much the first month after ShaMay died. So you do the math, right? The kitchen's now ripped up, and big argument over that as the rent is going up. Like, it's too toxic, you know? He went home to help his family, because I know his family is not perfect either, right? Nobody's family is perfect, right? So, no judgment. He knows Marcane's been going through a lot. And I don't want to stress out my son any more than my son has already been stressed out. So I just like the advice that I give Andre. Who's your best friend? You are, Andre. Right? I think my son needs some time for himself to kind of put his thoughts around that one. And we're just going to keep the basement as is in terms of this little teeny weeny family that I have left over from a family like that when I came in. I'm down to this now. And if I bring in another person or another stranger, you know, it's just going to add more to the stress. Where if I just let it ride itself out and eat 5 months worth of home canned food, prepping, whatever you want to call it, and just have faith, right? That you'll get through this rough patch, right? Because it's a rough patch, people. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video. I'm going to take this camera and I'm going to take it into Uncle John's room, aka the playroom, and you're going to understand why the majority of what you see in there is basically going downstairs. Right? How I rearrange it down there remains to be seen, but it's going downstairs. And with it going downstairs, that room will become Andre's room. Because that is just kind of like in the direction that I want to go in for a little while. Right? I haven't had time to paint this, put the carpets in, but we'll do that. So what I'm going to do, people, is I'm taking out this bookshelf, which is full of books. That's my issue. I'm taking out this bookshelf. All these are gone. Down on the bottom are those 100-year books behind all that. This is like with Play-Doh stuff, you know, anyway, that's children's stuff. That's paint stuff for children, kids, crafts, whatever. That is walnut art stuff down in there. You know, some things will stay. Andre will probably still want his boat. This deep freeze is going down. Anything that's up on top of it is going down. Right? All those... That's all craft stuff in there. That's all craft stuff in there. This room's being emptied out. Let's just put it that way. That's the first place I'm going to start. And then in here, it's books. And as I move along, I'm moving out. Oh, God, you can't see. Hold on. As I'm moving along, eventually, I'll take out these books. Right? And they'll all go downstairs. And then Andre will have a nice cupboard so he can stack his bins with his favorite stuff, and he can lay claim to his own territory. So that's what's going to happen in here, people. Right? That's what's going to happen in here. Oh, yeah, and because I've got costumes hanging up in there, and I've got costumes hanging up, well, outfits, in, what do you call it? In, the closet in the other room, what I'm going to do... Then I'm going to bring out my old rack, and I'm going to hang them up downstairs, and, you know, I don't know, we'll do something with them.